Okay, it is 3 p.m. on Saturday, August 10th, 2024. I would like to call to order this special meeting of the Sturgis Common Council. Our first item would be approval of the agenda. I would like to note, actually, I'd like to note a couple things, I guess, before even approval of the agenda. We do have 3 council people joining by phone. So we have Nick Jones on the phone, Don Lanfer, and Kevin Forrester on the phone. Is that correct? Okay. And then as far as approval of the agenda, I did just receive a request, which is a request for use of city property. This request just came in from AFTE. So if council would like to consider this request, we would need to add this to the agenda. I can pass around this. Yep,
please?
I was just handed it, so I will pass it around when we get to that point. Let everyone look at it. If you guys would like to consider this, it would just need to be added to the agenda. So with that, we will go to approval of the agenda. Is there a motion on the agenda?
I move to approve the agenda.
Okay, just as it is, or with any, with this new request that came in? Would you like to approve the agenda with that new request? Okay, thanks, Jim. Okay. 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 All right, so that was a first by Jim to approve the agenda with the addition of considering the request that just came in. Is there a second?
I'll second.
So a first by Jim and a second by Ruth. And I will roll call this approval of the agenda. Tony,
I'd like to take time to look at this, please, before I...
before
Yes,
considering
please.
adding it. Okay. And if it's added to the agenda, there will be discussion on it, just like a regular agenda item. So, Tony,
Well, I'm just going to make a point. Next time, can we get that with the packets so we're not caught off guard? And with that, I will vote yes.
hey. Jesse,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Ruth,
Yes.
Jim,
Absolutely.
Nick. Nick?
Hello?
Nick, we're on approval of the agenda. What is your vote?
Yes, if you can hear me.
Okay, thank you. Don
Yes.
and Kevin. Okay, so we got 7 yeses and 1 no on approval of the agenda. So we have an agenda that brings us down to the Pledge of Allegiance. If we could all stand and remove cover, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next we have announcements and praise. I guess all I would have here is I would like to give a big thank you to all of our city staff who have been working very hard this rally, understaffed, overworked, trying to keep overtime down. So you've all been doing an awesome job. So thank you to all of our city staff. That's all I have for announcements and praise. Anybody else on council? Any announcements and praise? Anyone from the public? Any announcements or praise? Okay. That brings us down to the non-agenda matters that may come before council. So in this section, we allow anyone from the public to come forward with any matters that may not be on the agenda. No action will be taken on anything brought forward in this section. If you do have something, if you could please come forward to the microphone and state your name and whether or not you are a resident of Sturgis. If you could keep your comments to 3 minutes or less and respectful, it would be appreciated. Does anyone have any non-agenda matters? Okay. Did anyone from council have anything? All right. That'll bring us down to item 6, which is reports, and item 6.1 is consideration to adopt resolution 2024-46. This would be a resolution to amend the licenses, resolutions, and actions taken by council. And this would be to extend and include all of Monday, August 12th, 2024, for the Sturgis TT races. This was brought about due to the weather forecast. So there was a 90% chance of rain for tomorrow, Sunday, the day that the race is supposed to happen. I think now it's down to maybe 70% chance, but adopting this resolution to amend everything that's associated with the race would allow us to just move it all to Monday. And Mr. Marshall, did you have anything to kind of go into detail?
Thank you, Madam Mayor and members of the council. In the staff report, I identified the number of various council actions, including resolutions and special event licenses that were associated with running the race on Sunday. Those include the special events license for the VIP ticketing area at the Loud American, the request for use of city property, that is the City Hall Library patio for a VIP viewing area, a consumption permit for that same area. The street closure would have concluded on Sunday, and that has been extended if necessary through Monday. And a SEL for the Oasis to allow service at Harley-Davidson Point during the Monday event, and also to extend the open container license through that date. And finally, a special event license for the Loud American for music, food, and shopping. There's a lot of council action that was associated with putting this event on. And in reviewing the last 3 or 4 months of council minutes and actions, I identified these as the ones that I believe should be extended if circumstances compel the race to be postponed tomorrow. The draft resolution that I prepared for your consideration provides that extending those licenses and permissions would be null and void if the event takes place as planned tomorrow. Those are the only comments that I have on the proposal, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Marshall. Does anyone on council have any questions? Go ahead, Jim.
For the AFT, I think you've told us about rain, but I think for the citizens of Sturgis, under what circumstances might you race in the rain on the street?
Okay. We have no provision to race in the rain. However, we are very adept at adjusting our schedule and have procured equipment in order to dry the streets, including multiple sweepers and a jet blower. We will adjust the schedule as necessary, including cutting sessions, shortening races, whatever we need in order to accommodate getting the race in on Sunday. The current schedule was planned to end at 6 p.m., but we have also brought in lights to extend twilight just a little bit, and we feel comfortable that we could still compete until 8 p.m. in order to get the race in on Sunday. So that is our first goal. Our first prize is just to get that race in on Sunday and to do everything necessary to accommodate that.
Do you have to get the permission from the racers themselves, or is that your decision and they follow?
Yes, yeah, that's our decision, and it's something that we do this year. Unfortunately, we've had to adjust schedules quite a bit. We've been impacted by weather at multiple events and have been able to get the race in, including one in Texas, which we didn't expect to be able to get in, but we were able to.
So we do have opportunity tomorrow, even if it rains. If it were to stop in time, you could prepare the street.
Yes.
Thank you.
Mayor?
Yes.
I'd like to hear from staff. Jody and Rick, are you guys comfortable with all this? Okay. All right.
Okay.
For those who are listening, Councilor Dargits asked if Public Works Director Bush and Police Chief Vandemeter were okay with the proposal, and they indicated yes by a thumbs up gesture.
Yes. Thank you.
Thanks, Marshall. Anyone else have any questions? Oh, did I just hear who was that? Is that Kevin?
Kevin, yes, I did have a question when the opportunity presents.
Okay, I'm sorry. You can go ahead with your question.
Keith, you mentioned being very flexible with your schedule for Friday, trying to get taken care of on Sunday if all possible. It would be a last-ditch effort if we have to push till Monday. Do you have the same commitment to adjusting the schedule on Monday? We do have open and active businesses that are going to be inside the track area. And, if the schedule could be adjusted so the program was done by noon, I think that would be very beneficial.
Yes, and that is our plan, is that we would have an adjusted schedule that would begin at 8 a.m. and wrap up as soon as possible. I think noon is a realistic timeline.
Thank you. To anyone who couldn't hear that, Councilor Forrester just asked if there was that same commitment to getting the race pushed through if it were to happen on Monday, to get it done timely, just since there are businesses open on Main Street. And so, thank you, Jean. Right. Any other questions? Any questions from the public? All right. Well, I'd entertain a motion if there's no more questions or discussion. Yes. Sure. Come on.
Just so everyone knows, we have today, I've been in touch with the dentist office, the pain clinic, and Brian at the bank. And Brian has been in touch with a couple of his businesses that are there. And we've worked out a program with each one of them that they're all happy with. So if we have to, if we absolutely have to run Monday, we've worked out a way to either reimburse them or work with them and keep open. So.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Richie. All right. Was there a motion on this?
I'd make the motion to adopt Resolution 2024-46.
Okay, that was a first by Jim to adopt Resolution 2024-46,
I'll second that.
and a second by Mike. Any further discussion from the public? All right, I will go ahead and roll call. Jim,
Yes.
Ruth,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Jesse,
Yes.
Tony,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
Kevin.
Yes.
Okay, and that passes unanimously. And then we will have one more item with this request for use of city property that was added to the agenda. Does anyone on council need to see this again? No. So it is. Oh, can you put it up here?
I'm surprised that it wasn't sent out already.
Can what? Okay. So for those on the phone, we have a request for use of city property from AFTE, and the request is to use the 2023 Harley-Davidson Road Glide in relation to the Sturgis TT race. And I believe the dates, I think the dates were on there. Starting at 3 o'clock today, August 10th, ending at 5 p.m. on August 12th. So, any questions? Anybody?
What's the use for? I mean, what do they need it for?
The use, Jesse, is we have Mike Helton, who is second in command with Jim France at NASCAR, and he's in town for the race. And we picked up one Harley Davidson from Harley Davidson, and we wanted the use of that just to get some B-roll on Harley Davidsons with Gene and Mr. Helton for the Fox broadcast. We have an Indian that we can put him on, so no problem. He doesn't care, but I think with our relationship with Harley Davidson and yours, it makes sense to have him on a Harley. So,
If I may, Madam Mayor,
Yes.
Richie, could you explain what a B-roll is?
that is, Gene would be better at that. Do you mind if I let Gene do that?
B-roll is video content that would be included as a transition in the TV show, showcasing a product or showcasing an area. We have shot B-roll around the city, and so this would just be another piece of video content that we could utilize in the show featuring Harley-Davidson product, which is a mutual partner between the City of Sturgis and American Flat Track. We've shot some content that you may have seen or heard. I was on Fox and Friends this morning and yesterday on Fox Business utilizing Harley-Davidson product. Harley-Davidson is very appreciative of that, and it's gained national exposure both for the City of Sturgis and for Harley-Davidson. So it's in that vein that we're interested in using the product.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, I have a
Yes.
question for Mr. Marshall. Liability on that, something does happen to the motorcycle, who's gonna cover that if,
May I, Madam Mayor? Thank you, Councilor Dargits. If there is an accident, the motorcycle will be covered under the city's liability policy and property damage policy through the South Dakota SDAPP, if council approves it. And that insurance would be on our existing policy at no additional cost.
how about personnel or people, something happens, somebody riding it, same thing?
The liability coverage would extend. It would, that policy does not provide workers' compensation insurance, but anyone from AFTE who would be riding it or AMA Pro is not a city employee and doesn't have the ability to make a workers' compensation claim.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Anyone on the phone have any questions? Okay. Questions from the public? All right. Well,
The city has historically and repeatedly denied use of city-owned vehicles and property by many groups, no matter what it was, because of not being city employees. I do like the idea of this, and I truly like the precedent that it sets, allowing the council to, if there's no cost or risk to the city, to allow vehicle use by other entities for the same sort of community good.
thank you, Kevin. There was no question in there that I missed, right? You were just making that comment about the historically
Correct.
been done? Okay, thank you. Making sure. All right, I mean, I'd entertain a motion.
I'd motion to approve.
Okay, that's a first by Ruth to approve that request for use of city property and a second by Jim. Any further discussion? Questions, comments from the public? All right, we'll go ahead and roll call. Tony,
Yes.
Jesse,
Yes.
Mike,
Yes.
Ruth,
Yes.
Jim,
Yes?
Nick,
Yes.
Don,
Yes.
and Kevin.
Yes.
Okay, that request for use of city property passes unanimously. And with that, our next item would be to adjourn.
Motion to approve.
First by Tony. First by Tony, second by Jesse. All those in favor of adjourning, please indicate by stating yes.
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 Those opposed with a no.